What's up, YouTube? JoshSundquist here. Today I want to tell you a collection of loosely related anecdotes. Loosely related. Kind of like me and my cousin that I accidentally dated one time. So back when I was a freshman in college, I took statistics. The professor was like, how many of you are taking this class to fulfill your math requirement for graduation? And it was like pretty much everyone's hand went up in the room. And then he was like, and how many of you, and I remember this quote very distinctly, he said, how many of you are taking this class because of an abiding love for mathematics? And I, of course, raised my hand. I was like, oh man, that's me. I look around the room and literally I was the only person with my hand raised. I feel like I'm sitting very far away from you now. It's like we're in a long distance relationship. It's just so tough. We never get to see each other. I miss you so much. Plane tickets are ridiculously expensive. I'm running out of problems with long distance relationships, but I know they're really hard. So I've always just loved math and especially graphs, as you know. And another time my freshman year of college, I remember I was talking with my friend Webb. Yes, like the spider. Now Webb and I had never had girlfriends, and we were talking about how like we were really nice. We were so nice. And girls always talk about how, oh, like they really want a nice guy. But Webb and I felt that in our observation, girls don't actually date nice guys. They date guys who ride motorcycles, guys who don't treat them all that well, guys who are tall, dark, and mysterious. A group of characteristics that we lumped together as dangerous, which we describe as the opposite of nice. But then we thought, well, girls probably don't want just a guy who's dangerous all of the time. They probably want some kind of mixture of danger and niceness together. And this is when we drew a bell curve that was actually a spectrum between danger and niceness, where we theorized that if you plotted this graph where like the y-axis was the distribution of girls in terms of where they want their perfect guy to fall on this spectrum, we imagined that most of them would fall somewhere, you know, halfway in between. Now, is that graph accurate or not? I have no idea. But my viewing friends, where is your perfect guy on that spectrum? Please describe it in the comments. So one reason I wanted to mention graphs is because today is, this is my hand signal for today, is the last day in which you can enter the Become Immortal / get a character named after you in my next book contest. To enter, all you have to do is draw a graph about my last book, Just Don't Fall, and upload that graph to my Facebook page. The link is in the underbar. There's going to be 3 winners, so you have an excellent chance of winning, so make sure you get your entry in today. Speaking of Just Don't Fall, see what I did there? That's called a transition. Bow. Last week I was walking on the sidewalk on my way to visit Ashley, and this girl Lizzie, who's a viewer, came up to me and was like, hey, are you JoshSundquist, etc., etc. The etc. part was me saying yes and her saying I watch you on YouTube. She's like, oh, I read your book. And I was like, great, that's awesome. She's like, yeah, but the part where you talked about getting that needle stuck in your arm, spoiler alert, it was very painful. Yeah, I had never really had blood drawn before, but it just so happened that the day after I read that story in your book, I was getting blood drawn. And I was so scared by the story that when I got to the doctor's office, I passed out. I was like, oh man, wow. You know, a lot of people have told me that my book has inspired them. You may be the first person who has told me that my book has caused them physical harm. Kind of the opposite of inspiration. We should hang out sometime. AMPUTEE.